Remembered today as a man who lived a life of service, most visibly to his community, but most often to his family. With her daughter in her arms, Lindsay Knapp Lyles tries to tell the hundreds gathered, as well as the little girl who will never know her grandfather, the essence of Michael Knapp.
It is difficult at best to stand before you and attempt to honor my father in words, as words all too frequently fall short of being able to truly describe someone as loved, respected, and admired as my dad.
Knapp was a career public servant, more than a quarter century with the FBI, followed by stints as the chief of police in Medina before assuming the role in Ferndale. He was a big man with a big heart and a handshake to match.
He was a little imposing. How many people ever shook his hand? It could be painful, am I right?
While in Ferndale, Knapp worked to improve school security and made the district a model in Washington. The school district's Mark Debach called Knapp a visionary who envisioned a better world.
In a time too much of the world seems focused on divisiveness and tearing things apart, he was a builder of partnerships and collaboration.
It scared me.
And nowhere was that togetherness more apparent than with the people he loved the most, a family and daughter comforted by words written by a friend.
People as kind and excellent as your family are the backbone of heaven and earth. And sometimes that strength and kindness must be promoted swiftly to heaven in order for it to enrich those beyond us.
With the exception of Lindsay, the Knapp family asked us to respect their privacy today by not taking their pictures during the ceremony, and we obliged. A friend of Chief Knapp today said we should all try to honor him by living our lives the way he lived his, with honesty, fairness, and integrity. In Bellingham, Eric Wilkinson, King 5 News.